We are looking for the girl.
Welcome back to CHW Studios. Today I'll recap a romance and drama war film called Where Hands Touch. Spoilers are incoming. The movie is set in Germany, in 1944, and centers around a 16-year-old biracial girl named Lena, who is being hunted down by the Gestapo due to her being half-black. They arrive at her house and question her mother about her whereabouts. She then says that she's away in Lübeck with her aunt before quickly looking at the floor. The Gestapo eventually leaves and Lena's mother reveals a secret compartment that Lena had been hiding in. After that, they board a train for Berlin, which doesn't have the same strict rules about people like Lena. She then narrates about how she's one of the Rhineland bastards, who have German mothers and black fathers. Though they have more freedom than Jews, due to their German mothers, they are still being discriminated against because of their being black. Lena's brother, Kohn, begins to grow bored and then says that he cannot draw in his art book without a pencil. A soldier approaches them and smiles as he gives the boy a pencil. The soldier then sees Lena and immediately asks for her papers, which her mother shows. He questions her surname before harshly handing back her papers. She eventually goes to school and is introduced by the teacher to the class. The teacher then begins to pick on her appearance, calling it un-German. Lena defends herself, saying that her mother was German and that's where she got her German surname. The teacher asked her what her father's name is but she couldn't answer. That night, Lena asks her mother about her father. Her mother tells her that Lena already knows everything about her father. Kohn then tells them how he was scolded earlier in class for defending her. The next day, Lena passes by marching Jews on the way home. A young man then tells her she should march along with them before pushing her into the crowd. Another young man on the other side of the street watches. Lena, along with her mother and brother, visited her aunt as her uncle had recently returned from Vienna. Her aunt then tells her mother that she didn't expect the two children to come along to visit and is wary if anyone saw Lena enter. Her uncle arrives and Lena's mother then sends them home ahead. As they leave, her aunt tells her to leave by the back. Lena's mother then asks her uncle for false papers that would certify that Lena is sterilized. She then says that if he does this for her, then she won't bother the two of them again. They go to a store to buy the bread and the clerk, Gunther, jokes around with Kohn. People start to line up behind the two siblings and an old man tells Gunther to hurry up. Gunther then makes Lena smile before they leave. Kohn joins the Hitler Youth, which is mandatory. Before he leaves, their mother reminds him that he may learn things that are different from what she taught him and that he should know to figure out by himself what is right and wrong. Lana watches as he joins the other boys and they march away the next morning. Lana is on the way to where her mother works when a boy wearing a Hitler Youth uniform hits her with his bike. Lana falls to the ground, injuring her face, while her mother tells him to be more careful. The boy Lutz picks up her things and hands them back to her before she and her mother walk away from Lutz. His father watches the situation from a nearby building. Lutz arrives in his office and his father asks why he was there so early. He says that the leaders are going to have a meeting before the younger members arrive. He then reaches for a cigarette but his father tells him to stop, saying that he should ask before taking it, and throws a cigarette at him. Lena and her mother then fetch a cone from a neighbor, who gets concerned upon seeing the wounds on her face. The neighbor then gives her mother a letter, saying it was dropped off by a man while they were out. She recognizes that it came from Lena's uncle. The two of them meet and he gives her some papers to sign and some instructions. He then tells Lena's mother that she should leave him and his wife alone now. Later on, Lutz and his father polish shoes together. Lutz says he did well that day though he receives no praise from his father, who instead says that they'll go out on a fishing trip meanwhile. Lena's mother gives her the papers from her uncle and tells her to sign them. She refuses and her mother then tells her that if she doesn't, then she will be taken and sterilized. Her mother also tells Lena that she wouldn't want this for her as she wants Lena to experience being a mother. The next day, Lena is pulled out of school. She runs home and her mother is thankful that she wasn't hurt. Because of this, Lena starts labor service. She and her mother are on their way home when she sees Lutz again. They make eye contact before Lutz's father asks if he is getting in the car with him. Lutz then says that he would just ride his bicycle home. He ends up following Lena and asks if she is alright. She says that she's fine and leaves. One day, Lena sees Gunther being made fun of by German soldiers. She hides and watches as they force him to take off his pants. The soldiers then find out that he is circumcised, which means that he's a Jew. They shoot him in the private part before shooting his head. That night, Lena and her family quietly eat dinner until Kohn feels disgusted at how Gunther is a Jew, and yet they buy food from him. Lena then tells him that he was a good Jew while their mother says that it didn't matter whether he was a Jew or not because he was human. Lutz begins to show interest that he wants to fight on the front lines of the war. His father doesn't want him to, telling him of his experience of the previous war. Lena watches as members of the Hitler Youth gather outside their home for a parade. Her mother is fixing a radio, which is broadcasting a speech from the other side of the war. She goes outside and tries to join the parade, but the other children look at her, disgusted. She then runs away and follows them from afar as they line up near a forest. Lutz catches her hiding behind the trees and tells her that she could get in trouble for what she's doing. She tells him that she was curious about what Cohn was doing with their group. He then tells her that he has seen a woman like her on a cover of a jazz album that his grandfather owned. He then takes her to a lake, where he offends her by asking about her mother and father. She then says that she always wanted to swim in the lake at night, but she had a bad experience in her hometown. Lutz then jumps into the lake and they both play around the water. They almost get caught as soldiers pass by, but Lena hides underwater. The two of them start to grow closer. During one of their meetings, Lutz asks if Lena's father, who was a soldier, fought for Germany. She answers yes, even though she's not sure, and is angry that night when her mother tells her that her father was a member of the French army and an enemy of Germany. Her mother talks to her in French, but she gets angrier. Her mother then warns her that if Lutz's father finds out about them, then he will kill Lutz. After work, Lena tells her mother that she left her gloves before leaving to meet up with Lutz. They start to kiss before seeing fighter jets pass by. He then gives her some cheese before she returns to her mother.